Do you want to know the fastest way to make a narcissist lose interest in you completely? Here are 7 powerful things that will make them walk away and leave you alone for good. And number 7 is so strong that they will start avoiding you like a disease they cannot risk catching. Many people believe the only way to deal with a narcissist is to fight back, argue, or prove themselves right. But doing that is exactly what keeps the narcissist hooked because it feeds their craving for attention, drama, and control. What truly works is when you become calm, peaceful, and completely unbothered. So you stop being interesting to them. You stop giving them the emotional energy they feed on. And today I will show you exactly how to make that happen step by step. Before we begin, let us be clear about something important. This is not about manipulation or revenge. This is about saving your peace, your power, and your sanity. Because narcissists are emotional vampires. They survive on your reactions, your energy, your fear, your anger, and your sadness. As long as you keep reacting, they will always return for more. Research and psychology both show that narcissists believe they own you. In their mind, you belong to them. You are not a person with freedom. You are a source of emotional supply that they can use anytime they please. But here is the truth they do not want you to know. This entire illusion breaks down the moment you stop playing your role in their game. When you refuse to react, to chase, or to explain, they lose control. So let us go through the 7 things that make narcissists lose interest and leave you alone forever. And trust me, number 7 is the most powerful one of all. The first thing you must do is stop giving emotional reactions. Narcissists feed on your emotions like fuel. They do not care whether you love or hate them. What they care about is that you are still reacting, that you still care enough to feel something. When you cry, beg, argue, or try to explain yourself, you are feeding them exactly what they crave. Think of it like dealing with a spoiled child. When a child throws a tantrum and gets attention, they learn that tantrums work. Narcissists do the same thing, only they are adults with the emotional control of a toddler. When you react, they feel powerful. But when you stop reacting, when you stay calm and emotionally flat, they lose control. At first, they will try harder. They will say hurtful things, try to provoke you, even pretend to change. They will do anything to get a reaction. But when you give them nothing, no anger, no sadness, no excitement, they start to deflate. Because what is the point of performing when the audience has stopped watching? This does not mean fake indifference. It means you have truly reached a point where their opinions, insults, and drama mean nothing to you anymore. That is real strength. The second thing is to practice total no contact properly. Many people think they are doing no contact, but keep making small exceptions. Real no contact means absolutely no communication, no curiosity, and no checking. Experts describe 5 areas where people break contact without realizing it. Direct messages, indirect messages through others, social media stalking, driving by their house, or asking mutual friends about them. You must close every single one of these doors. Imagine a burglar walking down a street. He comes to a house with a locked gate, cameras, lights, and a barking dog. He walks away. But if he sees a house with open windows and no alarm, that is where he goes. Narcissists think the same way. They always look for easy access. So if you make it difficult, they move on. That is why your no contact must be complete. Block their number, block their social media, and even change your phone number if needed. Tell mutual friends you do not want updates and do not want to give updates either. But here is the hardest part. You also have to stop checking on them. Every time you look at their profile or ask about them, you break your own boundary. Somehow they can always sense it. But when you go fully silent, you become invisible to them. And narcissists cannot manipulate what they cannot see. They cannot control what they cannot contact. They might test you now and then, but if you never respond, they will eventually give up. The third thing is to stop defending or explaining yourself. Narcissists are masters of twisting your words and making you feel like you must justify your actions. They will accuse you of things you never did just to keep you talking. The more you explain, the deeper you fall into their trap. When you defend yourself, you are accepting the idea that you need their approval. You are giving them the power to judge your worth. But imagine what happens when you stop. If they call you selfish and you simply say, okay. If they say you never cared and you respond, that is your opinion. Suddenly, they lose control because their entire manipulation depends on your need to be understood. When you stop caring about what they think, they cannot hurt you. You do not need their approval to know who you are. You do not have to prove your goodness, your loyalty, or your love, because to them, none of that matters. This does not mean you let lies spread. If someone at work threatens your job, of course, you defend yourself professionally. But in personal relationships, the best move is silence. Do not play their game. When you stop explaining, you show them that their opinions have no power over you. You are saying, you do not define me anymore, and that is something narcissists cannot stand. The fourth thing is to become genuinely indifferent. Pretending not to care will not work because narcissists sense fake energy. Real indifference means you have healed so much that you truly do not care what they do, who they are with, or what they say. They become emotionally irrelevant. You no longer check their updates, wonder about their life, or hope they miss you. They are just another person in the world who no longer has access to your emotions. To reach that state, you have to grieve. You have to grieve the illusion, the version of them you thought was real. You have to accept that the person you loved never truly existed the way you imagined. Once you process that pain, you gain peace. Then you start seeing them for what they are. Not powerful, not mysterious, but deeply broken and insecure. You realize their cruelty comes from emptiness. Their control comes from fear. And once you understand that, you stop taking their behavior personally. They lose their hold on you completely. True indifference is not hate. Hate still feeds them. Indifference means you feel nothing, just neutrality. You stop trying to understand them, fix them, or change them. They simply stop existing in your emotional world. That is when you become truly free. The fifth step is to focus completely on your own life. This is the part where real healing begins. You stop living as a reaction to them. You stop posting to make them jealous. You stop doing things to prove your worth. You stop going places hoping to bump into them. You stop thinking, what will they think if I do this? Instead, you live for yourself. You start new projects, meet kind people, and follow your dreams. You spend your time doing what excites you instead of replaying the past. You invest in your growth, your health, and your joy. And something amazing happens. You start to glow from within. Your energy becomes peaceful, happy, and fulfilled. Narcissists hate this because it destroys their illusion that you need them. They want you miserable, broken, and missing them. But when you are living your best life, their control fades. When you focus on yourself, you no longer have time to think about their chaos. You are too busy building a peaceful life. You stop comparing your success to theirs. You stop competing, you stop explaining, you stop caring, and that peace becomes your shield. It protects you from being pulled back into old patterns. The sixth thing is to stop trying to expose or change them. This is one of the hardest steps because your sense of justice screams that they must be held accountable. You want to warn others. You want to make the world see what they did, but every time you try to expose them, you feed them more energy because even negative attention is attention. They do not care if you hate them. They only care that you are still talking about them. When you try to expose them, they often play the victim and twist the story. They will make others believe you are obsessed, bitter, or unstable. They are charming to outsiders, and they have probably already told people their version of the story. So when you speak up, it often sounds like proof of their lies. It is unfair, but it is true. The same goes for trying to change them. You cannot fix someone who refuses to see a problem. Sending articles about narcissism, begging them to get help, and explaining their patterns. All of that gives them more control. It keeps you emotionally attached. Their healing is not your job. Their self-awareness is not your responsibility. You cannot teach empathy to someone who does not want to feel it. When you stop trying to change or expose them, you reclaim your energy. You stop being the hero in their story and become the main character in your own. That is the real victory. The best revenge is living well, not to hurt them, but to heal yourself. When you are happy, strong, and at peace, that is the one thing they can never steal. And now for the seventh and final step. Become completely emotionally unavailable as a source of supply. This is the ultimate form of freedom. It is when you are not only physically distant, but emotionally untouchable. They can no longer trigger you because you have detached from the need for their approval or attention. When they text, you don't reply. When they insult, you don't flinch. When they praise, you don't melt. You remain steady, calm, and grounded. You give them nothing. No anger, no love, no pity, no explanation. You become as still as a rock, not cold out of hate, but peaceful out of strength. When you reach this point, you don't just make one narcissist lose interest, you stop attracting them entirely. They can sense when someone has no emotional supply to give and they move on. You become invisible to toxic people, but magnetic to kind ones. You start drawing people who match your peace instead of those who test it. Becoming emotionally unavailable is not about pretending to be strong. It's about becoming truly healed inside. It's about realizing that your peace is too precious to waste on people who drain it. When you are emotionally unavailable to manipulation, you are free. You can finally live your life without their shadow following you. So there you have it, the 7 powerful ways to make narcissists leave you alone for good. Stop giving emotional reactions. Go no contact and keep it firm. Stop defending or explaining yourself. Become truly indifferent. Focus on your own life completely. Stop trying to expose or change them. And finally, become emotionally unavailable as supply. This isn't about punishing them or winning. It's about reclaiming your peace, your joy, and your self-respect. When you follow these steps, you don't just make them lose interest. You set yourself free. The goal isn't to hurt them. The goal is to heal you. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can ever do is walk away quietly and never look back. Not because you hate them, but because you've learned to love yourself more. You don't owe them pain reaction or closure. You owe yourself peace. When you rise above the games and stop responding to their chaos, you become untouchable. You become the one thing they can't control, calm, grounded, and free. And that's when you truly win. Not by defeating them, but by choosing yourself. If this message helped you keep learning, keep growing, and keep choosing peace every single day, because the life waiting for you beyond their control is more beautiful and peaceful than you can imagine. When you finally break free from the cycle, something amazing begins to happen inside you. You start to see just how much of your life was spent trying to earn love from someone who never had any to give. You realize how many times you explained yourself hoping they'd understand, only to be misunderstood again. You start to see that the arguments, the confusion, the sudden affection followed by cruelty, none of it was your fault. It was all part of their design to keep you stuck in their web. Narcissists build emotional traps that make you question your own worth. So when you finally step out, the air feels different, lighter, cleaner, peaceful. That silence that once scared you now becomes your sanctuary. At first, the silence feels like loss. You miss the intensity, even the chaos, because your nervous system got addicted to it. It's not love you miss, it's the emotional roller coaster. That's what trauma bonding does. It wires your brain to crave the very person who hurts you. But with time, the fog clears. You start sleeping better. You start smiling again for no reason. You start feeling safe in your own space. That's when you know you're healing. The narcissist may think they broke you, but in reality, they only pushed you toward your awakening. You see, narcissists never expect their victims to rise. They expect you to stay broken, to keep replaying the story in your mind, to keep wishing for closure. But the greatest closure is understanding that you don't need one. You don't need their apology. You don't need them to admit they were wrong. You don't need to hear "I am sorry" because their words were never real to begin with. Their apologies are strategies, not sincerity. Once you understand that, you stop waiting, you take your power back, you move forward without them. Healing from a narcissist is not quick, but it's worth every single step. It's like walking out of a dark cave after years inside. At first, the light hurts your eyes, but soon you begin to see colors you forgot existed. You notice small joys, the sound of your own laughter, the comfort of peace, the beauty of quiet mornings where no one is judging you. You remember who you were before the manipulation, before the self-doubt, before the lies. You reconnect with your soul, and as you heal, you begin to attract differently. You stop drawing people who drain you because your energy has changed. Healthy people recognize your peace and respect it. Broken people feel uncomfortable around it and drift away. That's how you know you're growing. When peace feels normal and chaos feels foreign, you stop chasing intensity and start craving calm. You realize that love doesn't have to hurt. Real love is gentle. Real love is consistent. Real love feels safe. Narcissists can't survive in that kind of environment. They need confusion, competition, and control to feel alive. When you no longer give them that, they lose all interest. They will look for someone new who still believes their charm, who still reacts, who still gives energy freely. Let them go. You are not the solution to their emptiness. You are not their savior, therapist, or emotional crutch. You were never supposed to fix them. You were supposed to learn from them, to learn where you gave your power away and how to never do it again. That's why your healing is not just recovery, it's transformation. The version of you that tolerated disrespect no longer exists. The version that kept explaining has learned silence. The version that begged for love now gives love to themselves first. You have evolved. You have grown into someone who no longer dances for crumbs of affection because you've built your own table. You've learned that peace is not boring, it's sacred. There will be moments when you still feel triggered. Memories might surface. You might hear a song or see a message that reminds you of them. But instead of breaking down, you will pause, breathe, and realize you survived. You made it out. They no longer control your emotions. That realization hits deep. It's like reclaiming a part of your soul they once tried to steal. Every time you stay silent instead of reacting, you win. Every time you choose peace instead of chaos, you win. Every time you walk away instead of proving yourself, you win. And every time you smile at your own reflection, knowing you no longer need their validation, you win. That's real victory. Not the kind that needs an audience, but the quiet, powerful kind that happens inside your spirit. In time, you will stop wondering if they think about you. You will stop asking why they did what they did. You will stop trying to make sense of something that was never built on logic. Narcissists don't operate from love, they operate from fear. Fear of being ordinary, fear of being ignored, fear of being exposed. They wear confidence like a mask to hide deep emptiness. You no longer need to understand them because their behavior says everything. Your new chapter is not about revenge, it's about rebirth. You are becoming the version of yourself that they tried to destroy. The version that knows their worth, values their peace, and trusts their intuition. You stop doubting yourself and start listening to that inner voice that warned you all along. You start believing in your own strength again. You stop apologizing for your boundaries. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You start living boldly, freely, peacefully. And that's when the narcissist truly loses. Not when you argue, not when you expose them, but when you heal so deeply that their name no longer triggers a reaction. That's when you have won the final battle. They can no longer touch you emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. You have stepped out of their reach entirely. So if you're still in that place of confusion or pain, hold on. Healing takes time. But every day you stay no contact. Every day you refuse to react. Every day you choose peace over drama. You're moving closer to freedom. Don't measure your progress by how fast you stop thinking about them. Measure it by how little power those thoughts now hold. You are not who you were when they met you. You are stronger, wiser, and far more aware. In the end, the narcissist taught you something powerful: how to protect your energy, how to trust your intuition, and how to value your peace. Pain became your teacher, but healing became your graduation. You don't need closure from them because you've already closed that chapter yourself. Now it's time to live. It's time to create a life filled with love, truth, and calm. A life where your heart finally feels completely safe and deeply loved without ever having to beg for it or earn it through endless tears and confusion, because you are finally home within yourself where no toxic storm can ever reach you again.